It's the Steel Deal. It's Brad and Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being here. It's the off season. And as of today, January 14th, 2026, Mike Tomlin is no longer the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is sad.
Yeah.
Uh, if you watch the podcast, if you listen to the podcast, you know that we believed it was time. So we're turning the page. We're full on Penguins tire now. If you're watching us on the video, we're watching the boys at PPG. So let's go. Let's talk about the game itself, Brad. It was a blowout, but it also wasn't. What did you see?
It was I knew going into it they were going to have to play a perfect game to win it or even have a chance at the end. It but well, obviously the longer it went on, you could see that the defense was just going to get tired. They weren't going to be able to keep them in the game, and Houston's defense was just I admit I should have watched some game film more than just like the 10 minutes of when they played Buffalo when Buffalo
Yeah.
almost came back to beat them. I saw that game. And then I read the stat lines before we, did our podcast last week. And I was like, okay, yep, they rank high, but maybe we can get something going and maybe playing Cleveland without DK, as strong as their defense is, as much fits as they gave us, maybe that'll give us some insight into playing
Yeah.
Houston some. But that Texans defense needs a freaking nickname. That's all I know because
Warm.
they were a wall. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a team tackle that well in 10 years. I mean, for me personally, anyway, that was
Yep.
just. And, the flea flicker attempt, we got the ball back on that. We blew that up. We were doing some good things defensively early. The first offensive drive was impressive. It's like, okay, this looks encouraging. It looks like we're going to be able to get something done. But nope, they shut that down.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
exposed who we are this season, an
Yeah.
average football team.
Absolutely, and that's kind of how it felt. I said last week, if we get to Stroud, we have a chance, and we got to Stroud, and we had a
Yeah.
chance. But that defense was phenomenal. Again, obviously, we're rooting for the Steelers to win, but also you just have to appreciate what you're watching sometimes.
Hmm.
And that defense is so good. Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter are so good. Boy, Troy Fatanu, who's had a great season. There are a couple writers saying he's worthy of an All-Pro vote as a
Hmm.
second-year player, really a rookie because he missed so much last year.
Yeah.
For him to he that was his welcome to the NFL moment. That truly was. I thought Dylan Cook was okay. I also didn't realize Dylan Cook's 28 years old. I thought he was like 23, 24. He's been on
I
a
think.
practice squad for a while.
Well, I think he's been. He didn't he come from Tampa Bay? I think he's been in the league for 3 or 4 years
Yeah,
already.
I thought he was just like, he played in Montana 3 years ago type thing.
Yeah.
No, I thought we were outmatched in every component. I have to give major props to the defense because they kept us in it. And
Hmm.
it was 7-6, but it felt like it should have been like 28-6.
Yeah.
Like it
That was.
someone's tweet said, the Houston Texans are blowing out the Pittsburgh Steelers 7-6 right now. Like that's what it felt like. It just
Yeah.
felt like we
It
were
was.
pushing the metaphorical boulder up the hill, and we just kept having it roll back up on us, and the Texans were just doing whatever they wanted. They just kept making mistakes. The defense did their job.
Mhm.
The offense did not. The stats are ugly offensively. Rodgers and probably his last career start game,
Mhm.
likely 17 for 33, 146, and a pick six. Warren and Gainwell combined for 63. We were texting a bit during the game. They could not get that run game going. They just
No.
couldn't.
Mm-mm.
And then DK was our leading receiver. He came out the gate hot,
And then that
hot.
one drop pass, and that was.
I just, and I feel for him because it's really cool if you when you're watching the game, if you kind of tune out the game and watch a player, you see what's happening. And you saw with DK, he's getting bracketed every time. He's just got nothing, and none of our other receivers stepped up. Thielen made a good catch. It was such a bad offensive game. I'm sitting here wondering how the hell Arthur Smith is getting head coaching interviews.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I saw. just it was a headline of a YouTube video, I believe. It was talked about they're getting ready to start interviewing coaches, and then it said Arthur Smith, Aaron Rodgers both not coming back.
Correct. Yeah, I watched Art's press conference today. I'm just gonna pull it up on my phone because I made a couple notes and I didn't write it down anywhere else. So pardon me here. Good
I
notable notes.
will say, while you're looking that up, that
Yeah,
it was surprising that he's like, yeah, I wanted him back for another season. I wanted
and
him.
that was my first bullet. I said Art was quote willing to run it back next year, which I thought was kind of like, oh well, good thing we didn't because it would have been bad. It would
Yeah,
have been 9-8 in a playoff loss. Like
yeah.
the new head coach will not come from the current staff, which I think is very important. I mean, that
Hmm.
means no Arthur Smith. I know Eddie Faulkner's a great running back coach, but and he stepped in as OC after we fired Canada. Like you got guys who are able to coach, but being a head coach is a little bit different. The new head coach will be able to choose their own staff. I think that is
Mm.
very important.
Oh yeah.
Um, Obviously, which way do we go? Do we go offense? Do we go defense? That's going to impact a lot of things. If we hire a young defense guy, maybe you keep on a veteran Arthur Smith. I'm not saying we should,
No.
but have the option to bring in their own guys. That's important to me. The search will take weeks. They expect Art said he expects to coach in place before the combine, which is February 23rd. Looking at past Steelers head coaches, let's go back to the moon landing. It's typically been the week of January 22nd in whatever year it is. It's been that week. I think this one's going to be a little bit different because I think, we have more resources available to us now. Big, I thought Art said that Tomlin's resignation was, quote, a family decision, not a football decision, which I think is big. 'Cause I think we just saw he was tired. He just looked
Oh yeah.
like SpongeBob SquarePants when he had the suds. Like that's what Mike Tomlin looked like half the season. And that he, quote, does not expect Aaron Rodgers to be back, which I think
No.
was that's fine. Thank you, A-Rod. It was a fun year. It was really cool to watch just a guy that talented play for us. And another thing to note, he said the standard is to compete for a championship every year.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at a rebuild. Um, it's an ugly loss, but this is a new chapter in the Steelers, and we can sit here, we can break down the Houston game, but you can look back at pretty much every other wild card game we've had. I, this one wasn't, again, scoreboard says it's a blowout, but I don't think it was. It was so close until that strip
Mhm.
sack, and as you said, the defense was just they were so tired, they were dead.
Yeah. I think the Baltimore smashed us last year. The year before against Buffalo, they jumped out on us and we came back and we had a little bit of a chance in that game until
Hmm.
Buffalo. I think we pulled within 24-17, and then Buffalo said, we're going to show you what a real football team's about," and they shut
Yeah,
us down, and that was it. But that was like late into the third quarter, I believe.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
so scoreboard shows it's a blowout, but again, we watched the whole thing. Obviously, it felt like it was over after after they went up by 8. I was like, oh, this thing's done.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
it also was closer. It's just again, it's just a shame that it happened this way. But I think it's kind of fitting as we turn the page into the next uh, era of Steelers football that the defense held their own and the
Yeah.
defense played their butts off for Mike Tomlin.
Hmm.
And I think that, we're going to look back in a couple years, in a couple decades, and remember this time, and we're going to remember a lot of positives. I just feel
Oh
that.
yeah. I mean, there were a lot of really good games that he coached, just regular season stuff
Yep.
that just so memorable, but
Yeah. Can't coach forever.
yeah, yeah, and his downfall, I believe, was hanging on to his vets too long and not knowing, because I believe that it didn't happen under Cower. When
Yeah.
they started, when they were up for and they could see that they were more or less peaking, they let them go. They either release them or they let them walk. And the fan base would flip their lid every single time. And if you're out there watching me going, no, no, they did. I remember it vividly. They were like, "What are they doing? They can't let him go." And then that player, whoever it was, would go out and lay an egg wherever he got that new big contract from. And then we would
Yeah.
bring in a rookie, somebody else to fill that gap, and then they would perform close to up to expectations.
Yeah, and
And
they
it's
weren't
just,
flipping out on social media because there was no social media.
yeah.
They were flipping out in their own circles. So yeah, they weren't complaining in Facebook comments. They weren't
Hmm.
tweeting at the team. They were just voicing complaints around the water cooler. I mean, that's really before my time.
Yeah.
But I think that this is like the analogy I keep or have in my head. If you flip Mike Tomlin's career 180 degrees, okay? Because he was hired and he won a Super Bowl his second year. Like that
Yeah.
was incredible.
Hmm.
If you flip it and you say, okay, Mike Tomlin was hired, couldn't find a quarterback, but still was able to be 10-7 with playoff losses. And then once he found his quarterback, he was consistently competing it for, AFC North titles, getting to the AFC divisional, getting to the AFC championship, and then he finally breaks through, but loses in the Super Bowl, comes back 2 years later, finally wins it. Wow.
Yeah.
It's so funny how different our perspective would be if that's what happened. Because he's a Super Bowl winning coach. He
Hmm.
is a two-time appearing Super Bowl or a Super Bowl appearing coach. He had a hell of a career. Top 10 in the NFL in all-time wins, tied with Chuck Noll for most in Steelers history, which I think is funny. 190 regular season at
Yeah.
193.
Hmm.
And he has the best winning percentage as a coach in Steelers history, which I think is just commendable. I He's a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
The question is not is he getting into Canton? It's when. Is it in 5 years or is he going to latch on somewhere else next year? Which we have his rights, so we can trade him.
Yeah. He's not going anywhere. But when you were describing flipping his, it kind of, and only kind of,
Yeah,
mirrors Cower,
exactly,
because
exactly.
Cower was able to get those teams to the AFC Championship without a stud quarterback, and
Yep,
then we were literally just a quarterback short with
yep,
those team. Man, that '94 team, the '92 team, the '93 team was almost as good as them, but there were a few players. Adrian Cooper was a tight end on that team. Eric Green, I don't think Eric Green was involved in it. There was Adrian Cooper was a backup tight end, and there was another player or two. Adrian Cooper admitted later on he was mad about his contract. He intentionally dropped some passes and whiffed on blocks during the season because he was still upset about his deal during the '93 season. He didn't come back for '94.
yeah. I wonder why. I
Yeah,
wonder why.
but the '95 team
Yeah,
still got him to the Super Bowl with O'Donnell as the quarterback.
yeah,
And then the
yeah,
Cordell AFC Championship in '97. I mean, he did a lot with very little under center. And then when he
yeah.
got Ben, he got his trophy.
And again, I mean, you know this more than I do. I kind of remember this a little bit until Cowher won the game over the Super Bowl over the Seahawks. People were saying, "Oh, Cowher can't win the big one. He can't win the big one. Can't do it. We got to get someone else in here."
Dude, I love Bill Cowher, but after the 2003 season, I wanted him gone.
Exactly. And it's just like we forget how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. And that's why, yes, I'm out. I'll say it. We should have been in more Super Bowls. We should have at least competed for them. But we were also going toe to toe with the greatest dynasty in sports in my
Hmm.
history, which is the 20-year reign of the New England Patriots. So you have to consider that and overlapping with Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees and like all these guys. It was so just Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
He's he's top three in Steelers history.
Hmm. And
It just he incredible career, incredible career. We could go sit here go on and on for him. The stats they're just insurmountable. They are.
yeah, and no
Do you
doubt
have
about
any?
that.
Again, he was hired January 22nd, 2007. I had just turned 12. Let's
What
put
date
that in.
was Cowher hired?
I'm gonna guess like January 23rd. Let's see. Live podcast recording here as I Google. No, I don't want AI. January 21st, 1992. So,
Okay.
so again, that same. Um, when Mike Tomlin was hired, I kind of vaguely recall it. But I was 12 years old. I just turned 12. I was probably celebrating my birthday at like a bowling alley or a laser tag.
Uh
Um, Shout out to my parents. I'm sure I had a great time. Don't remember it. What are
huh.
some iconic things that you remember early on in his career?
uh the news. After a game, he would set all the players down in the meeting room and
Yeah.
he had I guess like his slideshow projector,
Yeah.
and you could make the news by doing good things. You could also make the news by doing bad things.
Yeah.
And he would call you out in front of the entire team, and there'd be a picture of whatever you screwed up in the game, or footage. I don't know. Obviously, wasn't in the room, but
Yeah.
used to read
Yeah.
about that a lot. I hadn't read about it in years that he even does that anymore. But that was always thought that was really cool because that was just a way to hold everybody accountable by showing the good and the bad all at one time with everybody sitting in the room.
Yeah. I think that the Tomlinisms that come out are so, a lot of former players of his and coaches and just guys around the league have all kind of voiced their support for Mike Tomlin. And I forget who, it may have been Trey Essex. I forget who it is, but someone on Twitter said it's pretty uncommon for a guy to get his flowers when he's alive. Like usually these are kind of the kind of things you say about someone when they die, when they move
Yeah.
on. And Sarah, my wife even said it's like it's almost like the videos and the tributes are almost like he died. I was like, well, he didn't. He's healthy. We're appreciative of that. But also like to the average Steeler fan, he is now no longer part of our lives.
He
Our
went to
lives.
Steeler heaven.
He climbed the stairway to seven, and he's up there with Myron Cope. He's up there with all the greats. But no, he's getting like all these compliments about him, and you're seeing all these little Tomlinisms. Oh, Willie Cologne talked about how he like saved his life, literally like saved his life. How
Hmm.
he was dealing with a dark depression period. He was injured. He couldn't be on the field. And usually, when a player is injured, they don't travel with the team. And Mike Tomlin was like, "Nah, you're coming with us. You're coming with us. Like
Yeah.
you're traveling with us." And Willie was like, "I was sitting in my house just drinking." Or Jay Sternberger, who played like 6 games for the Steelers like 7 years ago,
I don't even
said
recognize that name.
he's a tight end. He said he got to Pittsburgh. He didn't know what he wanted. It was Thanksgiving. He had nowhere to go. And Mike Tomlin called and said, "Hey, come to my house. You're coming to my house for Thanksgiving."
Whoa, wow.
Like you're just hearing all these stories about the person that Mike Tomlin was. And that's disregarding who he is as a coach, just
Hmm.
as a person. Just such an iconic person. I think everyone would just love to sit down and listen to Mike Tomlin talk. But talking about favorite things that he did, a couple of them have said that he would put up during like training camp and preseason battles, he'd put up a picture on the board and it would be two dogs and a bone. And he would put the players' names competing for that position as the dogs. And he'd
Oh,
say,
wow.
two dogs, one bone. And like the players like, okay, okay.
Never
Just like
heard that story.
yeah, he
Wow.
just had all these cool things that he would do to get the best out of his players, and I think it worked. I really think it did. I think obviously the holding on to guys for a little bit longer, kind of having he kind of favored his league relationships. It felt like over what was best for the team, and
Hmm.
talking and building, bringing veterans. But I also think like, and again, I want your perspective on this. That era of coach, that genre of coach, isn't really the style anymore. You're seeing these Ben Johnsons, these Sean McVays, these Kyle Shanahans, who are elite coordinators on one side of the ball, who also know how to lead a room. And Mike Tomlin was an elite coordinator for a year, but he's always been the leader of men in that locker room.
Oh yeah, and that was my other thing. The other kind of downfall, he didn't have an eye for pulling in top shelf assistants.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you're not the sharpest tack for strategizing stuff, you better have assistants around you that are,
yeah,
or you're going to end up 9-8 for 10 years in a row or whatever it was. I
yeah,
mean, it's just
yeah,
that's the nature of the beast.
yeah,
Somebody has to know X's and O's and stay up to date on what's going on and be able to put together smart game plans.
yeah. And I think Mike Tomlin is a great coach, however you want to phrase that. I think he does know the game so well. I think again, the game just changes. It
Hmm.
just changes. And unless it's like when we all get going in our careers, we're all, let's go. I'm going to contribute to the company. I'm going to make all the stockholders money. They're going to love this, right? We're all in for it.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you're like, man, I don't really care about the new trends or whatever new data points. I'm just here to do my job. And he
Yep.
had to battle that. That's something we deal with as humans. He had to
Hmm.
deal with that as a coach. And I have no doubt that he was up till 2 a.m. every night watching film and getting better. But that drive slowly dissipates. And over the course of 19 years, it's just going to happen.
Oh
You're going
yeah,
to lose your
no doubt
touch.
about that.
And the Rooney family is not liquid rich, so they weren't throwing money at coordinators and coaches.
Yeah, yeah. So he stepped down, and now we got some new stuff to look forward to or speculate on. And
Yeah,
the interview for Flores is already lined up. So
we've got five.
apparently they love Brian from the year that in was 22 he was there. Everybody in the
I think so.
organization just like fell in love with him.
Yeah,
So
I
we'll
think the
see. But
five. We'll see. I don't love that idea of Brian Flores because I think that he kind of brings what young Mike Tomlin brought, which was just knowledge of the game. Brian Flores is an elite coordinator. He was an elite
mm,
coordinator in New England. His defenses in Miami were always fantastic. They were, obviously been good in Minnesota, but he has struggled to lead a locker room.
yeah,
And I I just don't know if you want to risk that.
nope,
So he would not be my top pick for that. Also, I just don't like hiring retreads.
yeah,
Like let's try something new.
hmm
But they've officially put in, I believe, five requests because you have to request to interview them. Chris Shula, defensive coordinator for the Rams,
yep,
who is probably my top pick right now. Um, Clint Kubiak, is the coordinator for the Seahawks. He's obviously the Seahawks are the number one seed in the NFC. He's made Sam Darnold pretty dang good.
yeah.
Uh, a little young. I'd like to see him with kind of more of a
How old is he?
resume. Um, and then Brian Flores, Anthony Weaver, which I thought was interesting. He's currently the defensive coordinator in Miami. He was
He
the
was a former Raven.
former defensive coordinator in Baltimore, and they were terrible under him. Their defenses were really bad. I don't really understand that.
Yeah,
And then Nate Scheelhaas.
I hadn't heard that name at all.
He is, oh man, the Yinzers are gonna love it if this is the guy. He is the passing game coordinator for the Rams. So he is Sean McVay's number two on offense.
Oh,
He was the offensive coordinator at Iowa State like 2 years ago. He's young. All these guys are like young, mid 30s, early 40s. And I my pick right now, obviously like logistically is Chris Shula. I think there's a connection there with the Shula family. Um, but Nate Scheelhaas is ripe for a Pittsburghese accent.
wow,
You want to hire
interesting.
Nate Steelhaas, you're gonna get
You
all
just
the
like
Yinzers
saying
up
his
there.
name.
He's on the sideline of Acrisure. So no, I think we put in a request for Jesse Minter, who's the DC of the Chargers. We're
Yep, I
moving
saw that too.
quickly.
That's not a
Yeah,
bad move. Just
yeah,
talk to
we're
him.
moving quickly, which I think is good. Which makes me think Tomlin probably sat down and with Art and a couple, whether it be before the season or mid-season, and said like, "Hey, I haven't made a decision yet, but just in case I do, just have a list ready because we
That's
are
what
we
I've
are
read that they let it out that they were interested in Shula if Mike didn't come back
yeah
a month ago.
yeah
They let that kind of leak out.
yeah
So
him and Marcus Freeman, who's the coach for Notre Dame.
yeah, I think the scuttle has been around the league, but I guess it's a tight knit enough fraternity that they're all
Yeah
like, "Hey, look, this might be going down, and your
yeah
name's going to be on the list, dude." That kind of thing.
yeah
I want. I love defense. Defense is, I mean, I loved watching Houston's defense if it weren't against Pittsburgh the other night.
right.
But I want one of these stud coordinator offensive guys that's ready to become a head coach to lead the locker room that can take a quarterback that say Will Howard and can turn him into a star like Shanahan's turned Brock Purdy, Mr.
Yeah
Irrelevant, into
yeah
a guy that, I mean, he's played in the Super Bowl. He's threatening for another one now this
yeah.
season. That's what I want. Somebody can take a diamond in the rough and turn him to a borderline all pro or an all pro quarterback under center so that
Mhm.
we have a chance to win a championship and we don't have to draft a guy in the top 10 to get it done.
So you would prefer an offensive coach?
Yeah, but he better bring a really good D coordinator along with him. That's what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I'm kind of going back and forth on that because I'm with you. I'm like, yeah, like let's get the OC in there, the passing game coordinator, because that way we have an offensive minded head coach who's not going to leave for a head coaching job, right? Like That's the risk. You hire a young coordinator or a young guy to be your coordinator. He's getting head coach interviews. I mean, the
Hmm.
Jacksonville Jaguars have been perpetually for how long? They
Yeah.
have one good year, and both of their coordinators are being interviewed. Their offensive coordinator is 29 years old and just interviewed for the Browns job.
It used to be like that when Cowher was coach. I mean, everybody was getting interviews.
Yeah,
Almost every season, guys were getting interviews and they were leaving and going to coach somewhere else. I
yeah,
mean, he turned out coach after coach after coach.
yeah. It happened. So yeah, I'm kind of on the fence if I want defensive or offensive. I like the idea of, I guess I would say my dream pairing, but it would be a short term thing, would be Chris Shula on the Rams, and then to bring Shieldhouse as the offensive coordinator because Shieldhouse does not get to call plays in for the Rams because that's McVay's job.
Uh huh.
But you do that and you risk 1 year of this guy and then he's out and you're kind of back in the same position.
I if we brought Shula on, I would like to see, and this is not being, I guess it's kind of being a homer because I'm familiar with him, but
I
Randall
know what you're
L.
saying. Yeah, yeah. I
Because
don't know
he's
if he's
been a
ready for
really
that.
good wide receiver coach for several years.
Yeah.
You know,
I just
he
don't
might
know
be
if he's
ready to make
ready
that
for that.
jump.
I mean,
How long
I
has he
don't
been
know.
coaching now, though?
I mean, I assume since he got out of playing,
Yeah,
so
he's probably got at least 10 years in.
yeah, I think he's actually with the Bears now. I think he's the uh wide receiver coach for the Bears because he was with
Okay,
the
because I
Lions.
know he was with the Lions, and for some reason I thought he went over to the Commanders.
He played for the
Yeah, I
Washington
remember
State.
that. But
Um, but
hmm,
I don't know. But I'm with you there. People are like, oh, we should hire Randall L as OC, Larry Foote as DC,
yeah,
and
Bears.
whatever. It's like there is a there is a Steeler way, yes,
Hmm.
but the Steeler way is to win, and I
Yeah,
don't care who it is,
yeah.
as
Neither
long
do
as they
I,
win.
but I think that he would be a good if we ended up with a defensive coach, a good guy to talk to about running the
Yeah,
offense. He's their assistant head coach and receivers coach in
yeah.
Chicago.
They probably don't have an offense coordinator because Ben Johnson is again
Yeah, I guess not. I didn't. I just Googled where's Randall L coaching.
yeah, which something that I think needs to be considered is Mike Tomlin was making a lot of money. He was one of the highest paid coaches in sports. And we talk about the Rooney's not being wealthy, liquid wise, they don't have cash sitting around. The money that Mike Tomlin will not make can go to a broader assistant pool. Like, yeah, you're still gonna have to hire someone and pay him 12, $13 million a year. Mike
Hmm.
Tomlin is probably making like 23, 24. Like,
Yeah,
so now you have money in there to hire assistants, and I really, really hope that Art sees that. Like, look at the successful teams in the NFL. They have such a diverse pool of coaches who do different things so well, and that also helps because whenever you lose one of them, you have someone to replace them with.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I don't know. We'll find out here. I mean, I would expect in the next 3 weeks we have an answer. I really don't think they'll let this linger.
Yeah,
The thing
like you
about the
said, it'll
Steelers.
probably just be like a week, week and a half before they're announcing the new coach.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that's going to hold them up is if we're interviewing coaches for teams in the playoffs still, because they can't interview in person.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, that's right.
And
Because it
of
was
that
only during
list,
the
you
bye
have,
week, right?
yeah, of that list, you have three who are currently in the playoffs.
Ah,
Two Rams, one Seahawks. So, again, you could look elsewhere. I'm just curious how, and not only do you have to get the coach in place, that coach has to get his staff in place.
mm-hmm.
So you want all that to be rolling before the combine comes. But it's a new era and it's exciting. It's sad. It feels weird. It's like your next door neighbor just moved away. It's like, hey, I've lived next to this guy for
Yeah,
19 years. We wave hi to each other. I really appreciate he always cuts his grass. If he's got, extra beer or two, he'll offer me something. I love that guy. I don't really know a whole lot about him, but that's kind of what it feels like. But we are in a new era
that's right.
of Steelers football, and it's exciting. It's exciting, and it's the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
It could be bad. It could be bad, but history shows and history suggests that the Pittsburgh Steelers will not be 3-14.
Yeah, and you got Omar and Andy
Yep.
there. They're going to be part of the interview process. Andy coming from Philly in their coaching hires. He's going to have some input, and I believe they'll be successful with whoever they pick.
unless they hire Mike McCarthy or
Yeah, please
Doug
no.
Peterson. Do not hire those guys as like senior consultants. That's fine. That's great. I'm all for it.
Dude, I saw an article earlier this afternoon. It's like the head coaching candidates for the Steelers. I clicked it open in between lessons reading it. They listed 19 coaches that were possible. I was like, they're not going to interview 19 guys, and this is just a fluff
No,
article with all these names. I mean, come
but
on.
that means in 6 months they can go back and say, "Look, we got it."
Yeah, exactly.
You're
He was on
right.
our list.
So, all right. Well, the season is over,
Yep.
and this has been our first full season of the Steel Deals. So, again, thank you to everyone who's watched and who's
Mm-hmm.
commented and who's listened and told a friend. Like, again, we're just two guys. We're moving into off-season content now. We'll talk about a lot of
What's
different stuff. The coaching search. We'll still talk about the playoff games. I think obviously we're football fans, so we'll kind of keep an eye on that. I mean, I'll watch every single one of them,
we'll probably
and
put
then we'll
some
get
speculation soon about players, who's coming or who's going.
who's going. Is
Who do you think this new coaching staff is going to move out, or
yes.
what kind of moves are they going to make to try to better position themselves in the draft when the new guy comes in? And he's like, yeah, he's run his course. We need to move him.
A lot of unknowns. But
Yeah,
if you're watching or if you're listening and you have an idea that you want us to talk about, let us know.
yeah.
Drop it.
Let us
Drop it.
know.
We're happy to, I should say, Brad's happy to respond to your comment because I often forget that those comments exist. So, thank you guys. It's been a fun season. We're looking forward to off season. Stick with us.
Absolutely.
It's not week to week game stuff, but there's always a lot going on in Steeler Nation.
Yeah, I mean, it's NFL's 24/7, 365. There's something going on now. You used to have dead times during the spring. That doesn't happen anymore. They've got it structured so they are always in your face.
Getting ready for
And
the
we're going to be
underwear
the same
Olympics.
way.
It's the underwear Olympics in February, the NFL Combine. Can't wait
Yep.
to watch guys who should not be wearing spandex run fast in spandex.
Yeah. I'm ready to start looking at some draft stuff. That's for sure.
We'll do some mock drafts. We'll make it fun. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
all right, we'll see y'all next week.
Later, folks.